I'm going to go over the two methods that you can use as the number one man, even as the number two man, entering into a room while you're doing CQB and crossing over the threshold. So the two methods are going to be either keeping the rifle in your shoulder as you're going through the threshold, or short stocking the rifle where you put the buttstock of the rifle over your shoulder. I lean towards keeping the rifle in my shoulder because what I've found is that it's about half a step faster than short stocking your rifle if we're being realistic about what we are trying to achieve. If the objective is to square up my body armor to the direction that I'm moving and also get my rifle pointed in the direction I'm going, or orientated at least into the direction I'm going, keeping it in your shoulder is about a half step based on the comparisons that I have faster in completing those two objectives. We do a step center before we go into the room. So if we step center into the room, or outside the threshold, looking into the room, as I start to move towards the threshold, my responsibility of what's directly here in the middle is no longer there. I have already decided which way I'm going to be moving, and therefore if I'm going to go to my left here, I'm going to sort of cheat a little bit to the right side of the threshold as I'm looking at it. And the next thing I'm trying to achieve, body armor square as soon as I cross the threshold, and my rifle orientated or pointed in the direction of the corner as quickly as possible. Hopefully those two things are happening simultaneously. And as far as how far into the corner, basically the quickest I can get my rifle parallel to the wall in the direction I am going, right? So we step center, I know I'm about to start going in. I'm going to start getting my feet right. My very first step is going to be into the room. At the same time, my rifle is trying to become parallel with this wall right here. So I'm sort of using that as a guide, right? So I step center, I'm moving, first step into the room, and then my very next step is going to be towards the corner. Same thing if I was short stocking the rifle. If I was short stocking the rifle and I step center and there's nothing there, okay, now it's time to start moving. I know that my responsibility is going to be this way. I want to square up my body armor. I want to get my rifle pointed and orientated towards that corner as quickly as possible. As I start moving, I'm going to start breaking my rifle down. As I step in, getting my rifle parallel with the wall, ready to engage. And then my very next step is going to be towards that hard corner. Same thing if I'm going the opposite direction. Nothing changes. It's a little bit more unorthodox, but time factor wise, there's not much of a difference if it's done correctly. Coming up to the threshold, nothing there. I'm going to start moving inside. My mind is already made up that I'm going to go this direction. I cheat a little bit to the left because now I'm going to the right. My very first step needs to be into the room as my muzzle is trying to get parallel with that wall. And my very first step is into the room. My very next step is going to be propelling myself towards the hard corner. Same thing if I was going to short stock my rifle. Step center, start to move, start breaking it down, get my feet right. Very first step into the room, short stock. Next step is propelling myself towards the corner. The downside with the short stock, in my opinion, and this is where that difference of a half second comes into play, is that you can't really have your rifle short stocked through this threshold and have it level, or at least on a immediate playing field as far as low ready goes, right? Because your rifle, it will fit through here. This is a 32-inch, threshold, which is the average size gap threshold in a residence. So it will fit through here depending on how you run your rifle stock. But you could have issues with, if you try to keep it level like this and stepping through and knocking your rifle or hitting something, and then that's going to delay something that we don't need delayed. So what ends up happening with the short stock is that people will short stock the rifle, but then they'll bring their rifle down, which makes sense because they're trying to get it through the threshold, and obviously the gaps on either side of this change and it gives you more room to work. So they short stock it and then they come through. So again, neither one of those methods is wrong, but the way that I have discovered to be as efficient and do it as quickly as possible without delay, and the difference is about a half step, is keeping the rifle in my shoulders. So I'm going to go to the left here. I'm coming up on the threshold. I'm going to step center. I immediately know I'm going here, and then I'm inside. Okay? So if I short stock, Come up, nothing there. Again, neither one of them are wrong, but one more time, I'll go through the keeping it in my shoulder. Step center, nothing there, I'm going left. We're talking about fractions of seconds and small degrees of separation making the difference between winning or losing. I like to err on keeping the rifle in my shoulder as much as possible going through the threshold, as long as it makes sense to do so.